My name is WillB23. I go to Goodman Church of Christ in South Haven, Mississippi. Who here is kind of a control freak? I know I can be put in that category sometimes. I know it's easy to get trapped in the sense of wanting to be in control over everything, and it's really easy to say, if I want it done right, I'll just do it myself. I was in a similar situation a little bit ago. If you know me, I was student body president for my 9th grade year. And the responsibilities with that is that I had to plan homecoming for my grade. And I dreaded planning homecoming for my grade. There had to be so much effort put into it to make everything go smoothly. When I was planning it, it was really easy to get overwhelmed with tasks I had to do, and I had to especially rely on my other council members because I couldn't do it all by myself. I wanted too much control. Who here likes backseat driving? I mean, no one really, because who likes it when you're trying to stay focused with all these, well, I wouldn't say stupid drivers, but not very smart ones. Because no one likes when someone's yelling in your ear, go left here, or go right there, when you know you have to go straight. Well, I know my father. He's been in the police force for over 25 years now, and he practically knows DeSoto County like the back of his hand. If I was going down a road I've never been on before, and I said, Dad, you're supposed to go right there, or Dad, you're supposed to go left, he would have all right to just smack me, because, I mean, hey, he's gone down that road a million times probably, and I have no idea where I'm going. No one likes a backseat driver. We want too much control. Now, what if I told you that we were the backseat drivers? God is in full control of our lives, but at the same time, we are in the backseat yelling at Him when to turn left and when to turn right, when He knows that we need to go straight. But God is gracious. He lets us make our own decisions, whether they be good or whether they be bad. When we decide that we want to take a hard left, He lets us. When we decide we want to take a hard right, He will let us. Yeah. But as soon as we listen to what God is trying to tell us, as soon as we get our heart in the right place, God will turn that car around so fast and go straight. If you'd like to turn to 1 Chronicles 10, I'll read from verses 4 through 6 and then skip down to verses 13 and 14. Saul said to his armor bearer, draw your sword and run me through, where these uncircumcised fellows were coming to abuse me. But his armor bearer was terrified and would not do it. So Saul took his own sword and fell on it. When the armor bearer saw that Saul was dead, he too fell on his sword and died. So Saul and his 3 sons died, and his whole house died together. Skip down to verse 13. Saul died because he was unfaithful to the Lord. He did not keep the word of the Lord, and even consulted a medium for guidance, and did not inquire of the Lord. So the Lord put him to death and turned the kingdom over to David, son of Jesse. Saul wanted too much control. He was a huge backseat driver, just like us. He was trying to tell God where He wanted to go, just like us. As it says in verse 13 and 14, he died because he was unfaithful. He didn't keep the word of the Lord, and he consulted others other than the Lord. He completely turned his back on God. And as a punishment, God completely turned his back on him. If we continuously tell the driver, turn left, or hey, I need you to turn right, we're going to end up in a completely opposite place where they intended for us to go. He should not have leaned on his own understanding, as it says in Proverbs 3:5. He should have not let his pride get the best of him. He should have had humility and let God drive while he prayed and was humble, and sought out counsel of the Lord instead of the foolish. How much better would Saul's life be if he sought out the Lord in everything he did? How much better would the kings of Israel be in centuries to come, because they had an example like Saul? And because he always chose the Lord in circumstances where choosing the Lord was the hardest decision to make. How much better would David be, a man after God's own heart? How much better would he be, because he had a great example on how to be a king before him, and instead of having a crazed maniac chase him for years. Now, I'm not calling y'all a bunch of crazed maniacs or anything, don't get me wrong, But I do think it's easy to fall into the sense of wanting to take all our problems into our own hands and don't tell anyone. Keep it all in. Seek counsels of your friends and family. But now, while that might be insightful to what you're dealing with, that is temporary counsel.
Okay.
That is temporary learning.
Yes.
The most enduring and eternal counsel is in the Lord Jesus. Now, instead of trying to be a backseat driver, and instead of trying to take all your problems into your own hands, drop on your knees and pray to the God that created everything around you, to the one that manufactured you in the womb, who knitted you, making sure you were prepared for all of life's troubles. This all goes to show that we want too much control, just like Saul. I can't blame you. It's in our human nature to want to be in control. It's in our nature to want to understand anything and everything that we can get our hands on. But just as it's human nature to want to control, as it says in Matthew, it's also our human nature to sin. Just as it says in Matthew 16:24, anyone that wants to be my disciple must deny themselves, take up their cross, and follow me. Just as you are to deny your flesh and other sins, I challenge you to deny yourself of control and let God have control over your entire life. Saul's pride and arrogance got the best of him to where he thought he didn't need God. And that's where Saul started taking hard rights and hard lefts when God said, Saul, you need to go straight. Have you ever had a time in your life where you wanted to go left or wanted to go right, but decided to go straight? Just as it says in 1st and 2nd Chronicles, 1st and 2nd Kings, and in 1st and 2nd Samuel, it says either a king walked in the way of the Lord or walked in the ways of the kings of Israel, or the ways of their flesh. Anytime they walked in the way of the Lord was prosperous towards them. He never turned his back on them, and always delivered them through the trials they were going through. Anytime a king would walk in the way of the kings of Israel, or the way of his flesh, God would take away his prosperous blessings, and would turn his back on them. In the same way, we should let God take the wheel, as some might say, and put us in the right place, whether it be ministering to people, being ministered to. Maybe it's me not feeling alone anymore in the place I am. Or maybe God puts me in a place where I make others not feel alone anymore.
Preach, Will.
But you still might be asking, well, how do I let go of this problem I'm holding so tightly to? You pray. You pray to the Lord of Lords and the King of Kings, the maker of the universe, the sculptor of your very being, that he may deliver you and that he may take control. Because we want too much control. I challenge you to stop trying to be a backseat driver. Let God take control. Let God point you in the direction he has planned for you. Let God steer your life to a place that's more meaningful, to grow his kingdom, and to make heaven full. As I leave you, I challenge you to not want too much control.